I still remember waking up in that hospital room, the machines beeping like they were counting down my life instead of helping me keep it. My body was weak, but I thought I was safe because my husband, the man I trusted more than anyone, was sitting right beside me, holding my hand. I had no idea that the same hand was signing away everything my father left me. He told me I needed rest. He told me not to worry about business stuff. But what I didn't know was that while I was drifting in and out of pain, he was draining my inheritance accounts, selling off property I didn't even know was listed, and forging my signature, like I was already gone. And the worst part? I recorded everything, every conversation, every lie. I just didn't know yet that I would need it to destroy him later on record. It started small, or at least that's what I told myself at the time. My husband, Eric, had always been persuasive. He knew how to sound calm even when everything around him was falling apart. After my father passed away, I inherited everything: properties, accounts, investments. I was grieving, vulnerable. I'm still trying to figure out how to exist without my dad in the world. That's when Eric stepped in closer than ever. He told me I shouldn't stress myself with paperwork. He said he would handle everything, temporarily, until I recovered from the shock. I trusted him. That trust was the biggest mistake of my life. The hospital stay happened 2 months later, a sudden complication. Nothing I saw coming. I remember the pain, the confusion, and then the strange calm after the medication kicked in. That calm is what he used. While I lay there, he was rewriting my life. Bank accounts I thought were untouched started emptying. A property in my father's name was quietly transferred. My signature appeared on documents I had never seen. And every time I asked questions, he smiled and told me I was imagining things because of the medication. But I wasn't imagining the phone I had secretly placed in my hospital room. It recorded everything, every call he made outside the room, every whispered conversation with his lawyer, every moment he thought I was unconscious. The worst part was hearing him laugh with someone on the phone saying, "She won't even notice. She's half gone anyway." That line changed something in me. I stopped being the trusting wife lying in a hospital bed. I started becoming someone who was watching and waiting. Over the next few days, I acted weak. I let him think I was fading. I nodded when he told me things were under control. I even pretended I didn't notice when he took my phone and tried to check it. But every night, when he left, I listened to the recordings and I built a plan step by step. I contacted my father's old attorney through a secure line I knew Eric didn't monitor. I sent the recordings, sent the documents I had secretly photographed before my hospital stay. And I asked one simple question: is this enough to bury him legally? The reply came back fast. It was more than enough, but I wasn't ready to destroy him yet. Not until I had proof that he would never be able to escape what he did. So I stayed silent. I healed slowly. I let him think he was winning. 3 weeks later, I was discharged. Eric came to pick me up with flowers and that fake, concerned smile he always wore when he thought he had control of a situation. He held my hand in the car and told me how hard it was watching me suffer. I nodded. I smiled. I even thanked him. But inside, I was replaying every recorded word of his betrayal. When we got home, he handed me a folder. It was everything he had, stolen, neatly organized, as if he was proud of it. "This is all handled," he said. "You don't need to worry anymore." That was his biggest mistake, because I finally looked at him and said the words that made him pause. "Actually, I think I do." That night, I sent everything to recordings, the documents, the proof, and I waited for the storm to hit. The first reaction came the next morning. My attorney called me before sunrise. His voice wasn't calm anymore. It was sharp, almost excited. He told me Eric had already been contacted by investigators and that the bank flagged multiple fraudulent transfers overnight. But what surprised me most wasn't Eric's panic. It was how fast everything started collapsing around him. By noon, his lawyer tried to reach a settlement. By evening, the company he worked with suspended him pending fraud investigation. And by night, I finally saw it. Eric sitting alone in our living room, staring at his phone like it had betrayed him. He looked up when I entered. For the first time, he didn't smile. "What did you do?" he asked quietly. I didn't answer right. Away. I walked past him, took a seat across from him, and placed my phone on the table. I pressed play. His own voice filled the room, laughing, planning, dismissing me like I was already gone. Each second of the recording hit harder than the last. I watched his expression change from confusion to disbelief, then to something closer to fear. "You recorded me," he whispered. "I documented the truth," I said. "You just didn't realize you were giving it to me yourself." He tried to stand. I stopped him with one sentence. "Don't. Everything you touch right now is already under investigation." That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed in the guest room for the first time in years. Not because I was scared, but because I finally felt safe enough to breathe without him in the same space. The next few days moved like a blur of legal meetings, depositions, and frozen accounts. My father's attorney worked like a storm, dismantling every lie Eric had built, piece by piece. And then came the moment I had been waiting for. The emergency court hearing. Eric showed up in a suit that suddenly looked too big for him. No confidence, no charm. Just a man realizing the ground beneath him wasn't just cracking, it was already gone. When the recordings were played in court, the room shifted. Even the judge went silent. I watched Eric lean forward, his hands shaking, as his own voice exposed everything he had tried to bury: fraud, theft, forgery, emotional manipulation during my medical incapacity. Every word stacked against him like bricks forming a wall he could never climb over again. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I simply told the truth. I trusted him when I had nothing left, I said. And he decided that was the perfect time to take everything. The silence after that was heavier than any sentence. The verdict didn't take long. Guilty on multiple counts. Restitution ordered, assets seized. Permanent criminal record as they led him out of the courtroom. He looked back at me one last time. There was no anger in his eyes anymore, only realization. But I wasn't done yet, because revenge wasn't just legal. It was personal healing too. I sold the house we shared. I donated a portion of what was recovered to medical charities that helped patients who had no financial protection during emergencies like mine. And I rebuilt my life from the ground up without a single reminder of him left behind. Months later, I received a letter from prison. He apologized, said he lost himself, said he never meant for it to go that far. I didn't reply. Instead, I folded the letter once and let it go. Because the truth is, revenge wasn't what saved me. It was the moment I stopped being the person he we thought I was. That was the day I finally got my life back forever. After everything collapsed. I expected emptiness, but what I felt was peace. Not fragile peace, but the kind that comes when you finally take your power back. Eric lost everything he stole, but I didn't celebrate his downfall. I celebrated my survival, okay? Revenge wasn't about destroying him, it was about rebuilding myself. Now I live a quieter, stronger life. I don't second guess my worth. And I never ignore my instincts again. What I learned is simple. Blind trust can cost you everything. And truth always comes out when you're willing to wait for it. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Comment below and share your thoughts. And if you want more real emotional revenge stories like this, subscribe, because some stories are just the beginning of something darker. And remember, sometimes silence is the most powerful revenge, when truth is already on your side in the end.